Yeah, I always found really interesting. Like, how come the drifter is like flat as hell, but like you have just a regular operative that's just like, god damn. You know, that's just something I thought was really interesting. Alright, on with the video. Alright, malicious people, welcome to another video. I actually wanted to try the Sybaris Incarnon, and the reason why is because it has forced blast procs, and I wanted to use blast but not corrosive, but I actually found out this really interesting thing. Blast procs actually can take into consideration your total damage. That means that damage hitting the target before armor but after damage reduction is taken in consideration when you're using blast procs. That means with a forced blast proc, I can actually go and use my usual setup, and it actually is, this time, the most mathematically sane thing to do. Because it's using blast, it's using viral, and it's using heat. Keep in mind, I will also be using BRRRRR, which I can show you his build right here. We're going with corrosive cold and radiation, prime pistol gambit, and we're gonna go with BRRRRR. We're gonna go with manifold bond, which is the best one, which is the main thing. Tenacious bond, which is also pretty good, and other than that, everything else is like optional except for arc coil. Now, we're gonna show you the build that I have, and we're going to put it together in order to show you my thought process on it. So essentially, like I said, because of the fact that blast takes into consideration the total damage hitting the target, we're going to be increasing the damage we do by using viral, and be increasing the damage we do even more by armor stripping with heat. Keep in mind, we also have corrosive and cold with the BRRRRR. We're also going to be using quick delay for a large amount of crit, and to be able to handle it more since it does fire pretty quickly. We're going to be using Vital Sense for crit damage. We're going to be using Shred. You don't need Prime Shred. You can always use the regular Shred, but I'm using Prime because I have it. We got Aptitude and Chamber, galvanized versions for more damage and more multi-shot. With the Incarnons, we're going to be going with 4-round bursts that gain blast status. We're going to be doing multi-shot, which stacks up to 10 times. We're going to be doing weapon recoil minus 60%. And we're going to be doing increased base status chance by 8%. Effect doubles in Incarnon form, which is going to be really, really nice. So, let me show you, and also I'm doing this in the simulacrum just to cut down on the amount of editing I have to do. Let me know if it's okay. If you want me to go back to editing the normal way, I can do that. But yeah, as you can see, even with forced blast procs, it's taking into consideration all the damage and doing a lot of damage. I'm pretty sure if you were to go with blast damage, it actually would be less damage than the amount of damage I'm doing now, because you would just be doubling up on blast procs. Keep in mind, I do have corrosive on here with my BRRRRR, but I do not have it on the weapon. Let's go again, just to make sure that wasn't a fluke. There we go. You can also do headshots, which is really nice, and it does more damage because it hits with more damage, which is with slash procs as well. So if you want to do big damage, you hit them in the head. As you can see, these heavy gunners are just straight up taking maximum amount of damage, and they are just straight up going down. So let's take it into a regular mission and see how it do. Yeah. I like how Teshin says they deserve my respect, but like, I don't think the respectful thing to do is to blast them in the face with like an Incarnon, because I think that's extremely unfair. But you know, I mean, we're using viral, so there's biological warfare happening, and I think that's pretty disrespectful. Let's go! Incarnon! Oh, nice. The one thing is, because this is forced blast procs, I'm not entirely sure if it is the case with blast that takes in consideration the entire thing. But I'm hoping that it is the case, because I know whenever I hit a large group of enemies with my, with any of my blast weapons, they do tend to die faster. It's just that because of the bright numbers taking the space, I don't actually see, like, how much damage the blast procs are actually doing. I just know if I hit a big group of enemies, they die much faster. So, yeah. Oh, speaking of dying much faster, let's see if we can get a hold of an acolyte. And this time, no veering off from that. So we're going to go straight to the acolyte. I'll see you there. Oh my god, I forgot to say something. Sorry. I forgot to say something when you were coming here. I was lost in thought. But she came, I hit her, I think, 3 times, and she got to that much, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna go to another acolyte, and I'll get you guys that commentary. Sorry. Oh, there we go. And this time I caught it. Who is it today? Who are you? Minia! Oh no, somebody forgot to take their medication. I'm not gonna use bubbles. Oh, I missed. So that was 4 shots in total that I actually hit them with? Or was it 5? Yeah, it was 4 or 5 shots. That's pretty good. I really like that. Alright, time to meet you guys at the end. I hope you enjoying yourself. Alrighty then, let's go! That was great. Not necessarily going back on my word since I did mod it for viral and heat, but it is because I found out how blast works, which is nice! Alright, and that was the Sybaris, and I hope you enjoyed it, but I'm going to be showing you the build before I let you go. We'll be going with the first evolution, which is going to be 4 round bursts that gain guaranteed blast status. We'll be doing 5 multi-shot stacks up to 10 times because I have a hard time hitting the head constantly. And for this one, you have to hit the head. There's nothing else you have to hit. You have to hit the head. And sometimes, if you're fighting something that has like a protection for their head, like a Grenier with their backplate, you're not going to be able to hit the head very often. And we're going to have minus 60% weapon recoil, because the recoil is really bad on this weapon. We're going to be using base status chance by 8%, and effect doubles in Incarnon form, which I did the math, it is about 163 damage and status chance, so that's good. Speaking of the statuses, we'll be using Rhyme rounds, Malignant Force, and Thermite rounds for damage over time, as well as more damage in general. Keep in mind we have forced blast procs, and blast procs seem to have the ability to take in consideration the total damage, so that's pretty good. We'll be using Critical Delay, Prime Shred, Vital Sense, Galvanized Aptitude, and Galvanized Chamber for crit chance, crit damage, fire rate, and punch through, damage as well as status, and multi-shot. We'll also be doing Primary Merciless for base damage. Yeah, and that's really, really nice. You could also go with a pure status build, but I prefer crits due to one simple thing, and that's the fact that if you can orange crit, mathematically speaking, you do more damage. I guess the way you could probably, like, fix that up to a way you would like is to put Thermite rounds on Dirgia, and then what you would want to do with Dirgia is have him armor strip, and then you would just want to go with Rightful Elementalist. You could definitely do that. Keep in mind, I'm not I do not ever want to try and force you to do anything. So if this is also a setup you can use if you really want to. Speaking of Durgia, let me show you his builds. Dirija. I'm just gonna call him Durgia just because I prefer that. So we're gonna be using Manifold Bond, Tenacious Bond, Arc Coil, and Vacuum. Vacuum is not necessary, but it is very recommended. We're gonna be using on the weapon Jolt, Pistol Pestilence, Frostbite, Accelerated Isotope, and Prime Pistol Gambit. If you don't have that, you can also go with Creeping Bullseye, due to the fact that it's more crit chance, and the fact that, like, it's not going to be using its weapon anyway, so it's not going to take in consideration fire rate in the first place. Or, if you want to go with Blast and Corrosive on your weapon, if you want to do that, you can go with Frostbite, Pistol Pestilence, Scorch, and Accelerated Isotope on your weapon. Keep in mind, it's completely up to you, and I'm not going to force you to do anything. After all, it's a video game, and video games are strictly for you to have fun. And I hope you had fun, and so yeah, I'll let you go. Have wonderful, wonderful nightmares. I will see you in them, and remember, if you're watching my content, I know you're into it. Honey, honey. Good night.